Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back live here. It's Joe Driscoll with Salt City Grind. Today, I was hanging out with my guest just about 10 minutes ago. How you doing, Council President Helen Hudson?
Who trying to let the heat come off? It got a little hot out there.
There was heat. There was a lot of heat out there today in more ways than one, let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, today we got Council President Helen Hudson. Thank you for hanging out with me and talking to the people. You know, I've just been trying to use this as a way to stay in touch with our constituents, you know, using Facebook to answer people's questions and talk to them and let them know what's going on. So first of all, let me just start out with saying, you know, for those who don't know you, tell us, I mean, everybody knows you, but maybe not your whole story. So what's, you know, what was your life like before you got into politics? What were you doing before you ran for council, and what inspired you to run? Why did you get involved with politics in Syracuse?
Before I got in politics, I've always been one to fight for the underdog. And so I've always been a community activist, fighting for change, fighting for when I thought somebody had a disservice. So that's always been my MO. So I figured that, well, actually, I worked at New Process Gear. I came out of UAW, and UAW was huge for me because UAW, they taught me a lot. They taught me how to be an activist. They taught me how to bargain. They taught me a lot of things on how to make things happen. So I was an auto worker, and I worked in the plant for 10 years, and I was approached, and I was asked, would I be willing to take a seat on the council? And I thought about it, and I mulled it over for a while. And truthfully, I'm just going to tell you what I thought to myself. I can't do any worse than they're doing now. So why not give it a shot? So that started my career in politics.
There you go. So we just came from this rally. Why don't you let the people know about you know, where we were before we started this podcast? What's going on with the rally we had today with George Floyd? Tell us your thoughts about how you're feeling about how the rally went today and what's going on.
Well, first, I want to thank Assemblywoman Hunter because it wasn't a rally. It was a press conference that turned into a rally.
Right.
And it was phenomenal because she's doing something that, you know, Councilor Driscoll, we've been trying to do since I've been on the council. Yep. We're trying to have accountability. Everybody has to be held accountable. And we're not saying you can't do your job as police, but you just can't excessively do your job as police. So the press conference was to talk about repealing some of the laws that are so antiquated that it actually protects police from being held accountable.
Right.
And it was phenomenal because we had a broad, diverse group of folks here, and they've heard us. They heard their elected officials say, tell us what you need, tell us what you want, hold us accountable. So for me, it's accountability all the way around. We need to be held accountable, and we need to hold our police department accountable.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, that did you some of the bills, do you want to talk about some of the efforts that are being made at the state level? I mean, we talked about some of them, but you know, that's the whole thing. I think you and I both have, you know, and not just you and I, but I think most of our fellow counselors have been trying to figure out how to get to this accountability piece for a long time. And you know, the higher up in government you go, you know, I love local government because we're so attached to the people. We're right there. You're answering phone calls. It's families you grew up with. You know,
right.
It's different than when you get to like county or state and you're representing, you know, 200,000 people or something like that. Right. We're representing, you know, we represent, you know, well, you represent 140,000, but, you know, for me, it's like as a district counselor and blah, 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 everybody knows you, calls you, you see the reactions and the product of what you're doing. But at that same time, it's hard to do some of those things like accountability, like we've been trying to do at the local level. We definitely need some help from the state, you know, on creating it. So maybe if you talk about some of the initiatives that are being discussed and what you think we can do to create more accountability.
I think the biggest one for me, Joe, is 58, which is the one that hides everything. Because when you want to talk about having accountability, my sister was a police officer. She was a police officer for 22 years. My sister lived on West Catherine her whole career. So she was neighbors to folks that she was actually helping and patrolling. So the 50A bothers me because we know with 50A, the officer Shavin, I think his name was,
Yeah.
that killed George Floyd. He had 18 excessive force infractions. As the public, we should know that. As the public, we should be aware of that. So that's where 50A would help us untangle some of that. And actually, 50A will help us in the long run when we talk about our tax base. So everything is a cause. We spend $60 million a year annually on our police department that leaves the city of Syracuse. So I always say we subsidize the suburbs. Think about if we had that money, we would be able to fix our own roads. We wouldn't have to ask anybody to do anything for us if we had the tax base that is distributed by the Syracuse Police Department and fire. I'll throw them in there too.
Yeah, and so the 58 for those, I think we got it, but you know it keeps us from knowing the past records of different officers and what they've done, and when we try to do it. The other one that I thought was really interesting was talked about today was stat about
Yes.
the data, you know, not knowing about how many how many
Yes.
deaths there have been across the state and the other data. But another question, you know, I always put when I'm announcing my guests and what's going on. I asked people for feedback, and the primary thing I heard back from people was talking about residency, you know, about something that's another thing that, you know, all of us on the council have talked about. But again, that's something we got to work with our state partners to develop. So you were just talking about the tax base. So maybe tell the people about, you know, in your time on the council, what's the conversation been about creating residency for police officers and for fire?
Okay, I'm trying to listen. I don't know why I lost the sound on you. It's went low. But for police and fire, they always make the comment that they can't find anywhere to live in the city, which is not true. Because we both know you can go to Strathmore, you can go to Sedgwick, you can go to the Valley, you can go to Eastwood. There's a whole array of places in the city of Syracuse that a police officer could live and not even look like you live in the city. So we
Right.
can really stop saying that, because for me, I think that that's really an excuse.
Yeah.
And I think that police should live in the communities that they patrol.
Yep.
That's just me.
No, you're right on. You're right on. I think you were touching
I'm trying to figure out why I can't hear you. Hang on.
yeah, you were covering the microphone there for a minute. You got me now?
I have you, but not very clear.
Not getting the
Okay,
audio.
let's just keep going. I can hear you
All
a
right.
little bit.
Why don't you tell us about Mothers Against Gun Violence, about, you know, the organization you worked with dealing with gun violence in the city of Syracuse and your efforts with that?
Mothers Against Gun Violence was actually formed in 2002, because what was happening is we were losing kids every day, and they were starting to get younger and younger. And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, okay, the community I lived in, there was no outrage. How can you not be outraged when a 15-year-old was found laying on the side of the street? That outraged me. So what we did is we gathered mothers and we went to the corners. Because as George Floyd is a prime example, we know that when children are hurt, scared, whatever it is, the first person they want is their mother. So we figured as mothers, we were respected as just that. So when we would go out on the streets and the corners, we garnered the respect from the young men because they knew that we were Black mothers. We work with them, we work in the schools, we work with families that have lost their children to homicide, and we work to try to educate on gun violence, that that's not the way. So what we've been doing for the last almost 20 years, we've been recruiting moms that have lost their children, which I have to applaud these ladies because they relive the loss of their child every time they step out of their door to go help another mother that's going through that turmoil.
Prez, we're losing the audio. I think you got your hand over the microphone.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
You can hear me, and I can't hear you, though. I can barely hear you.
You can barely
But
hear me.
keep going. I'm going to listen.
Oh, no. What made you make the move from counselor to council president?
Well, I thought about it because I've been working very, very closely with a lot of developers. Okay. So as counselor at large, I was able to work with folks broadly across the city. But being that you have your district counselors and you have your at-large counselors, and can you hear me, Joe? Oh, okay. Um, being council president gave me a bigger venue. It gave me a bigger venue to be able to work on a bigger level, to work with development, to like Microsoft, and to talk to the folks that's going to buy the KC building and turn it to a dental. That role for me is a little more critical because I can work between development and administration and the council so that we can ensure that we're going to start having different types of opportunities for everybody in the city of Syracuse.
Awesome. So a question here from Eric Vandervoort. He said, I've heard President Hudson talk about neighborhood development in the past and building up Syracuse. I always love what I hear from her. I would love to hear how she's thinking about development in Syracuse today and what direction she'd like to see the city move in the next 5 or 10 years. What are you hoping for development in Syracuse for the next 5 to 10 years?
I personally think that developing in our city in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be huge. Because think about it, we're actually becoming a very technical city. And we look where Microsoft is here. We're looking at that. We're talking about JMA. When you're talking about the wireless, you're talking about the drones and the tech garden. So we're looking to actually turn corridors that we haven't necessarily looked at before because we know we've done a lot of building downtown. But we have to start looking at that Butternut Street corridor. We need to look at the South Salina Street corridor. We need to look at the Fayette Street corridor. All of these corridors, they need attention. And that's my goal before I leave office is to ensure that we're working to build up these corridors around the surrounding communities.
Awesome. Hey, whatever you just did, the audio is great now. I don't know if you can hear me, but
mine is, yours not.
All right. So what's been the best thing about being in office and what's the worst thing about being an elected official? What's the best and worst things for you about being an official?
The best thing is all the people that you can touch, because I think that so many people, they know you, they know me, they know where our hearts are. And so many people they don't really know what to do. They're looking for somebody that really has a heart that's going to hear them and help them. So the best part for me is when I get a text like I did today. I got 3 texts from some of the young folks telling me how much they appreciate me. I like that because I need these young folks to know that I'm going to support them, but they have to support us back because you can't get anything done if support doesn't come both ways. And I just think it's the people. That's been the best part for me. And the worst part for me was I had to move because I was so accessible that at any given time, they were knocking on my door.
Right.
Every day, someone was knocking on my door about a problem. It was Labor Day weekend, Friday at 4:30. Everything was closed. I got a knock on the door to tell me about somebody dumping because they just wanted me to know before Tuesday. So it's okay. But no, I really love what I do, Joe. I love the fact that I'm able to help people. I love the fact that I have a voice that I can actually help move the needle when we're talking about development, when we're talking about economics for our community, when we talk about 81, whatever it is, we're at the table and it gives me an opportunity to be the voice for so many folks that we serve.
Yeah, and you do that so well. So let's talk about that one. At the rally we were just at, they said they were talking about 81 and how we were standing in the footprint of the 15th Ward. What are your thoughts about 81 coming up and what we need to be aware of as we're looking at changing 81 to the grid format?
I think what we really need to be aware of, which I'm working very, very closely with Syracuse Housing and Blueprint, we have to ensure no more dislocated folks because you're talking about a whole community that was dislocated one time. You can't turn around and dislocate these folks again. So we need to ensure that we make sure they stay there, that they stay in that footprint, because that's where they want to be. And so I'm working closely with Syracuse Housing, and as far as 81 Councilor Driscoll, we need to ensure that there's equity there, because when that highway comes down, there's going to be a ton of opportunity, be it working construction on the highway, be it a parts runner, be it a food distributor. There's a ton of opportunity, and we have to ensure that our folks within the city proper, they're afforded that opportunity, because there's going to be thousands of jobs in here.
Yeah.
So we have to ensure they get it. And when you talk about that, oh, you know, I'm going to go now. Working with Greater Syracuse Hope, we actually put together a piece which is going to kick off as soon as the world opens back up. We carved out money, and Center State helped us, and they raised more money. So we're going to be doing a union training. We're going to be using 650 West Onondaga. We're going to bring in 100 folks from the inner city. That's to start. That's going to be the start. And we're going to take them all the way from basics into the apprenticeship pipeline, because we need to start getting these folks ready and prepared to be on these jobs. So that's where we're at now, moving that union, that program to get folks into the unions.
Yep. Well, I know you've always been an outspoken advocate about poverty in Syracuse. You know, it's a crisis here in Syracuse. We were number 8 in the country for, poverty. Now we're at number 13. How do you feel we're doing? Do you think we're moving in the right direction? Are you seeing positive momentum? Where are you feeling in the struggle against poverty that we're trying here on the council?
Well, we are moving in the right direction, Counselor, because what happened was, I don't know if you know it, but one of our census tracts fell off. So we lost a census tract in that poverty level. So if we can continue to move forward, and I think a lot of it has to do with people being intentional. We're intentionally working with people that were either unemployed, underemployed, or couldn't be employed. So with the Greater Syracuse Hope, we have like 13 initiatives to where we're actually hiring people to give them work experience, to get them started. And I mean, I think it's a great benefit, because these are folks that would not ordinarily have been working.
Yep. And so another initiative as president, something that you've been the face of is fair maps and redistricting. That was an initiative that you really pushed forward. Tell people why you got involved with fair maps and redistricting, and why you felt that was important to go for.
Well, we're not at the finish line yet. So once the world open up, we're going to be coming back with legislation. But before the legislation, we have to do the public meetings. So just to let your audience know, we'll be coming out doing public meetings, asking for your input. But for me, fair maps was extremely important, because we have to geographically know the communities. And we have not. 10 years ago, every 10 years, there's a census. And when the census comes out, that gives us our numbers of what's really in our community. And we've been so off for so long, we've never received the funding that we should have. So once the census comes out, that gives us an opportunity to then start doing the fair mapping, the redistricting within the communities. Because if you think about it, we have communities are so totally different, but they're in that district. For instance, your district, you have Eastwood, you have Fayette and Crowley, then you have everything over there by Meadowbrook, right?
Yep.
Totally different geographics.
Yep.
Then think about Councilor Allen's district.
Yeah.
She has downtown, she has the south side, and then she has the university.
Yep.
All of those are distinctly different communities. So with fair mapping, it gives us an opportunity to kind of keep the communities in line on what the communities are. So it's just, for me, it's a no-brainer. Plus, it gives us an opportunity to put some balance back in some of the districts, because the north side? First district is totally out of whack. Because we have not done any redistricting since we've done the New Americans. So think about the population over on that north bit that has never been counted, that we don't know what's there. And at some point, Mr. Driscoll, might be able to push some more in your district. No, I'm just playing. But no, but that won't be on us. It will be up to the independent redistricting committee, because we won't be doing that. We're taking our hands off. We're giving away our power, and elected, from my point of view on the council, will no longer be drawing our own lines.
Yeah.
I don't think that's very fair.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And you know, there's been the effort now to push it at the county level. And I couldn't agree with you more. Between Councilor Allen's district and my district, you know, I've got about a third of Westcott Street. She's got the other 2/3 of the business district. It's just a mess all over, you know.
Absolutely.
So you've been an advocate for lead, you know, the lead initiative. You've been fighting against lead poisoning for years now, being a voice in the community. We're about to, you know, we on the council are about to push forward this new ordinance. What are your thoughts about, you know, where we are with the struggle against lead poisoning and the work you've been doing?
Councilor Driscoll, I applaud you, because you've actually taken this initiative and you've pushed the needle 100-fold. So I'm going to applaud you on that. But I'm hoping that, I think that we were on the right page with the lead initiative. And I actually saw that they sent over the ordinance, and I have to look at it. But you're on the right page with that. But I'm hoping that, I don't know, maybe this is just me. Maybe it should be a little, not the ordinance, but my thing is the children. Because we know that in the city of Syracuse, we have very old housing stock. And almost everybody, and I'm going to say it on the South End, from house to house, they move into a lead-infested house, okay? So they're never escaping it. So I know they stopped testing in the schools, I think, in the 3rd grade. I would like to see them tested at each level. I'd like to see a 3rd, a 6th, and a 12th grade test or whatever every other 3-year grade. Because I'm sure the levels are higher, but we're not capturing that.
Right.
And that's my opinion, because I lived in my house for 30 years. I didn't know I had lead until I sold my house 5 years ago. So think about this little 7-year-old boy living in this house full of lead, and I'm trying to figure out why he's acted out in school. Because he was poisoned. So I just want us all to think about that, and think about how we can figure out earlier and after the 3rd grade if these children are really being poisoned at that level.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I guess, you know, we just left this rally with all the young folks, all these young next generation organizers. You know, it was a very youth-led movement. What would be your words of advice to these young folks that are out here, that are, you know, that are the next generation of leadership in Syracuse? And any remarks you'd want to say to them about, you know, developing leadership here in Syracuse?
I just want to let them know I think they're phenomenal, number one, because they're doing 40 days. I can't do 40 minutes. So I personally think they're phenomenal young people. But the advice that I would give them is, you have people on your side. You have people supporting you. So please don't leave yourself to your own device. Reach out for guidance. Reach out for the ones that's been in the fight 30, 40, 50 years. I know the fight is a different generation, but it's the same fight. So take our wisdom, take our advice. I don't want to get involved in it. I don't want to jump in it. I don't want to organize it. But just use the wisdom and the guidance that we have to offer.
Yeah. So for the future of Syracuse, what's on the horizon for President Hudson, and what are you seeing coming in the pipeline in Syracuse for the future coming up? Anything you're thinking of that's going to be relevant in the coming year?
Well, Counselor, you know, it's moving parts at this point, because since COVID, we had so many things planned. We were going to do the sidewalks. We were going to, you know, so many things planned. And right now, COVID has put a lot of things on hold. So I'm just hoping that we can continue to keep moving forward, because we were on the right path. We were looking at having a surplus this year. But again, something out of our control that we could not, you know, stop. I think that we will be okay. I think that we will recover, but I think it's going to be everybody working together on this to be able to bring us back to where we need to land. I think we'll be great. I have no qualms that we're going to recover and be a great city.
Who are you going to vote for president?
Ah, Joe Biden. That's what we have to do. Joe Biden all the way.
You all in?
All in. I'm all in. I have to be all in because we cannot, and I repeat, we cannot do another 4 years of Donald Trump.
Yo.
That's just my opinion.
No, I'm with you, sis. That's why I thought I'd ask you, get a laugh out of you. So, well, we've done about a half hour. Anything else you want to say to the people? Any words you want to share with the youth? Any words you want to get out there for people that are in Syracuse watching and wondering how they can get involved?
Just all people, the youth, the older people like me. There's a place for us. I'm just gonna say this though. Saturday, I think they said 1 o'clock. It may
1 o'clock. Yep.
1 o'clock. They're gonna start at ITC. We need to be there monitoring. The older people, don't be in the thick of it. Stand back, step back, and monitor, because our young people need us. And right now, this movement is not going away. So I figure it's my duty to let them have their democracy. And as one of the elders, I'm going to be there and ensure their democracy is heard.
Yeah. So how have you been adapting with COVID, with everything that's going on, with the crisis, with, what does your job look like now that now that so much of our job is going out amongst the people and talking to the people and stuff? How have you been adapting with the isolation that we've had to do?
Oh, the phone call stop. The phone calls never stop, sir. They blow you up. But the funny part about it is we're in the pandemic with COVID. We have all the protests going on. And then I received a call Monday that one of the companies that I service are on strike. And I had to tell them, I said, oh, you picked a fine time to go on strike. But anyway, I made it over there and I was able to talk to them and give them some of the guidance that they needed. But I've just been dealing with it, Joe. I think we all have been dealing with it. I think we've done well, personally. I think that we were able to adapt as far as council. We haven't missed a beat. We have our meetings. We do our committees. We do all of that. So yep. I think as far as adapting as a city, I think we did really, really well.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, President. Well, being that we had to throw this one together on the rush right after the rally. I mean, we thought the rally was going to be wrapped up before 4, and I was still wrapping my cords and throwing my amps in the car at about 4:30, 4:45. So
then I got grabbed by the hand, and they took me down the street with them and said, walk with us. I'm like, okay. So I came back at 10 minutes off, like, let me just sit in the car and call Joe.
I know, because I was putting my amps in the car, and I go, that's Helen over there. I'm still driving, but she's still getting pulled into it. But that's part of being a rep, right? You got to be there for the people when they call you, and you got to step up and play your part. So I appreciate
you have to play your part, but you know what, Joe? I think that being a rep for the people comes with telling the truth. Okay, so yes, I understand the anger, but there's a way to go about doing things as well. So when they're off base, you can bet I'm going to tell them they're off base. Yep. So the truth has to be told regardless of who it is.
Yep. You and I have had a few adventures, Helen, where I've enjoyed you not holding your tongue. You definitely are someone who lets it go. If you got something to say, we all appreciate that about you very much, you know?
I try to be quiet, but then you can't. You bust.
Sometimes you try harder than others. Well, all right, Madam President. I'll let you go at 30. I know you got to get food. I know we've been working all day, both of us, and we both got to get dinner in us. But I just want to thank you for all the work you're doing. You spoke very powerfully today at the rally, and everything you said was, someone commented on here on the thread that we're having. They said that you made him tear up earlier today, with your comments about everything. And it was very emotional being there at the rally, at the press conference. And I know everyone in Syracuse appreciates you. So I just want to say I appreciate you as well. It's been great working with you. And thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to the people and say a few words while we're all in this lockdown.
And I appreciate you too, Counselor. And you know what? The few words I want to say to the people, thank you for your support. Thank you for your love, because you know what? The only thing that's going to heal us is going to be love And we just have to keep loving on each other. Peace, my brother.
Love and peace, my sister. Thank you for everything you do. I'll talk to you soon, Madam President.
All righty, sir.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.